How's it going, guys? Welcome to the video. As you might have seen by the title, we're going to be looking at the Glock 43X and comparing it to the Springfield XDS Mod2 OSP over here. Both of these are going to be compared and contrasted as a concealed carry weapon. We're going to give points and try to figure out which one is the better concealed carry weapon for you. Obviously, these are both designed for concealed carrying, so we're not going to look at them from any other perspectives. This Glock 43X, just want to give a little disclaimer, does not look like your standard Glock 43X at all. I have spray painted it and stippled it to make it look ugly, kind of on purpose. I don't want it to look like a Gucci Glock, so that was my thinking. And this is the Springfield XDS Mod2 OSP version with the red dot on top. And we're not going to be comparing that red dot to no red dot on here because that wouldn't be fair. But you can get this cut and put a red dot on here if you choose to do so. So we're not going to give any points to the sighting systems on these. Now let's get started. First off, we're going to look at the triggers. Glock 43X has your standard Glock trigger. It's smooth and then crisp at the very end. Very tight, very snappy. Now with the Springfield XDS, it has a lot smoother trigger. It's going to be a lot smoother and then have a smoother break as well, and just a little bit more of a satisfying feel to it. So we are going to give 1 point to the Springfield XDS. Glock 43X still at 0. Next, we're going to look at size as far as length and thickness of these two. With the Springfield XDS, it's really going to depend on what kind of magazine you have in here. If you have this in there, this is the 9-round magazine. Hopefully you guys can see that. And it's a lot longer than a flush fit magazine. So it comes with a flush fit 7-round magazine as well. But if you use this one, the 9-round magazine, which I gotta say does give you a little bit better grip on the gun, if you do that, the Glock 43X is going to be shorter than it. As far as length, I don't know if you guys can tell, but the Springfield XDS hangs down a little bit lower with that 9-round magazine in there. Now, if you did the flush fit magazine, the 7-round magazine, you're going to be looking at just this. And at that point, the Glock 43X is actually the larger gun. And if you can tell here, the Glock 43X actually hangs down a little bit. Hopefully you can tell that. A little bit longer than the Springfield XDS. So depending on which magazine you use with the XDS will depend on whether it's shorter or longer than the Glock 43X. Now, lengthwise, they are negligible. The Glock 43X might be just a hair longer, but basically exact same thickness and exact same length, more or less. So we're not going to give any points for size because they're basically the same, and whether or not you use the longer magazine on here or not is going to dictate whether this is a larger gun or a smaller gun for concealed carrying. I gotta say, if you do use the longer magazine, it's going to be a lot harder to conceal. It's going to be sticking out at the butt of the gun a lot more. Another important factor for concealed carrying is the magazine capacity, and right off the bat I just got to give it to the Glock 43X. That's a point for the Glock 43X because this can hold 10 rounds, so if you have 2 magazines, you're looking at 20 rounds on your person. With the Springfield XDS, you have a 9-round magazine as well as a 7-round magazine. So either way, you're less than the 10 with this. And if you have 2 magazines with you, with the Springfield XDS, you're looking at, really bad at math here, 16 rounds versus the 20 rounds with the Glock 43X. So easy point right there, got to give it to the Glock 43X for magazine or round capacity. So we're now tied 1-1. A big difference that you will notice if you pick up the Springfield XDS is that it does have a grip safety. Right here on the back of the grip, you have the safety, you have to press down in order to shoot. If you try to pull the trigger, without depressing that, it will not let you. You have to have this depressed in order to pull the trigger back. I think that's a good feature to have. It's kind of nice, and I actually know that I have never been able to pick up this gun in any situation to shoot it where I would not be depressing that already, so I really just forget that it's there entirely. But there are some situations that I've heard of where these fail. I'm not sure whether those were someone was depressing it and still wasn't firing, or whether that was someone went to fire it in a life or death situation and they didn't depress it and so the gun wouldn't fire. Either way, we're not going to give any points to that because it's kind of a pro and a con. It's a pro if you want a safety on there, and it adds an extra level of security if you have a round in the chamber and this is on your person. you know that it's going to be a little bit harder to fire. On the other hand, it could provide a negative, a con, if you go to shoot it and somehow don't depress it or it causes some sort of failure. So we're not going to give any point for that, so we're still tied 1-1. As far as the grip, I have stippled both of these guns, so I can't exactly attest to the grip that was on their stock. They seemed relatively similar to me as far as the amount of grip that you get on there. One big difference though, the Glock 43X does not have any sort of finger grooves. You have a nice flat surface to grab onto, and it feels like a really good solid grip. On the Springfield XDS, it does have a little finger groove right there, and it is a little bit thinner of a grip. And I have about medium-sized hands, and this grip is already almost too small for me, I have to say. So the Glock 43X actually feels perfect in my hand. This one, the Springfield XDS, feels a little bit too small. So we're gonna give a point to the Glock for the grip. So that means we are at 2-1 for the Glock. Build quality and durability, a big factor with concealed carry. You want to make sure that this thing is going to last you and not going to break that easily. Glocks have been tried and tested over and over again for their durability. There's a study where someone did 300,000 rounds with a Glock, and aside from replacing super minor things on it, the Glock didn't break. It would continue working. And also with the Glocks, you know, they have the reputation of being durable, solid guns. They don't break, they don't have failures, they don't have any sort of issues, they just work. That's a big deal. Now when we go over to the Springfield XDS, these guns, well, the XD series in general, have been tested, but not to the extent that the Glocks have. I think Springfield might have done some testing with like 10,000 rounds through one of their XD guns, and they didn't really have any failures. They just kept lubing it up, and it continued working. So because we know that the Glocks have more research behind them, we know they're gonna work, we know they're gonna shoot, they are just a solid performer, they don't have issues. The XDS is a little bit more unknown, and from what I understand, has a little bit more parts in it. It has a little more, I mean, you know it has more. It has the grip safety and things like that that this doesn't have. These are very bare bones. But because of that, basically, we're going to have to give a point to the Glock for durability and reliability. So that brings us to 3 for the Glock and 1 for the Springfield. Now the final thing I'm going to talk about is the accessibility and availability of accessories for these guns, whether that be lights, sights, mag wells, holsters, all of that. The Glock is going to have so much more because so many more people own a Glock. They're going to be a lot more popular. You're going to have a lot easier time finding holsters and sights and lights and all that stuff that fit a Glock compared to the Springfields, which are just not as popular, frankly, and they're not going to have as many things out there. Not that you can't find it, and not that you won't have good luck with that, but generally it's going to be a little bit harder to find accessories for the Springfields. So that's another point for the Glock. So that brings us to, I believe, 4-1. 4 for the Glock, 1 for the Springfield. And that's going to wrap it up for this comparison. So we have a winner, which is the Glock 43X. Both of these are going to shoot, both of these are going to be great concealed carry guns, but it all comes down to the Glock ecosystem and the Glock name and reliability that comes with it. You're going to get generally a gun that's going to work. It's not going to break. And so that's why, for me, I'm sticking with the Glock 43X, and this will not be my primary carry gun. Now this is totally biased and opinionated. I am generally a Glock fanboy. I do, however, like Springfields. I have a Springfield XDM 10mm gun, and that is one of my favorite guns I own, if not my favorite, even above these Glocks. I wouldn't carry it, but not because it's a Springfield. It's just a larger full-size gun, and it's 10mm, and I just want to carry a 9mm. But it is an amazing gun, so I don't have anything against Springfields, but I generally just think that for concealed carry gun, this is not going to be quite as reliable and quite as good of an option as the Glock 43X. So here's the winner, the Glock 43X. Take a good look at it. That is the winner of today's competition, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, totally biased. Don't hate me if you disagree with my opinions, but that's where I'm at currently with my thinking. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below with any suggestions for future videos or your thoughts on this comparison. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day.